The moments that almost broke me. The moments that almost broke me. That's right. Today, we're going to talk about challenging situations in business. If you've ever run a business, you know business is a test, right? And although on social media, you've probably seen as we've been growing the awards and the recognition and the high fives and the photo ops, behind the scenes, there are challenging situations, things that I never could have even imagined that I would run into. And if you're running a business and you're scaling up and you want to get a sense of some of the challenges that you might face in your business, today I'm going to walk you through some of the moments that almost broke me. That's right, pulling back the veil. Going to be a little vulnerable today. Yeah, these are the lonely moments because you know that there are people out there that want you to fail in business, especially as you get bigger and bigger. Perhaps maybe because they're kind of projecting their own insecurities, but that's another video, right? You always have to show up, never given the benefit of the doubt, right? And so today I want to walk you through some of these stories of moments that almost broke me. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a little bit of a roadmap that I have to help you overcome challenging situations in your business. Okay, so let's jump in. So these are in no random order. Got my notes here as usual. So the first moment that almost broke me, this was around I started the business in 2017. So let's just say around early 2018. I spent a lot of probably a month kind of wallowing in my own pity, and this is when shit is real, you're a year into it, you're feeling the pressure, you're making sales, you're not making sales, you're impressing people, you're disappointing people. Everything at this stage is very personal because you are the brand and you are the only person involved in the business. There's no team, right? So it's you take everything so personally because in those early times, it's hard to separate yourself from the business, right? So the moment that almost broke me in that early time was the initial shock. And what I mean by that is all of these expectations. You have a mortgage, new wife, found out we're having a baby, and not sure where your next paycheck's coming from. It's very anxiety inducing, very panic inducing, right? So, in that situation, it was a lot of meditation. It was a lot of Tony Robbins videos. I was overcome with figuring it out. Quitting was not the answer. There were definitely moments in that early stage where I was like, oh, I could just go and get this really good job at a big company, or I could figure it out that way. You feel like after a year of being in business, you kind of hit a wall, right? And the initial excitement kind of dissipates, right? So if you are in business or getting into business, one of the moments that may break you or attempt to break you because you're going to overcome is that first year. And once you climb over that wall and continue, there are going to be other moments along the way that break you. Now, here are some things that are a little bit more specific to my situation, but I'm hoping that you can resonate and relate with some of this. Okay, so in year 3, 4, we got hit with COVID. Okay, COVID came. We were a decent sized business at this point, a mid 6-figure business, low to mid 6 figures. And at that stage, COVID hits. I'm getting calls from clients canceling or putting on hold until their businesses they have more security and assurance that their business is going to survive this whole thing, which I understood. I wasn't upset by it, but overnight 70% of our revenue was gone. I was like, oh wow, okay. And so of course that was a moment that almost broke me, but that actually wasn't the moment itself, because I still was proceeding ahead, and over that summer managed to, because we were remote, we went on the offense, and other companies were trying to figure out work from home. We were helping them do that. We were helping them with virtual appointments. So we started growing. Actually, we started growing significantly, and the team that we had at that stage was 4 of us, and we were stretched. We were stretched. We were carrying a big load on our backs for sure. And my main person, like my right hand person at that time, was like, "Look, dude, like we need to hire people now." Like, and I knew it too. So we hired 5 people. 5. That's how good it was, right? We were like, we need 5 people, and so we hired these 5 people. Okay. Monday they're gonna start. Okay. Friday, the guy sends me a message on Slack. Hey, can we chat? Okay. Of course, can we chat? You know what that could mean, right? And he gave his notice, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I'm gonna take over all the clients again, right? After having kind of delegated that, I'm gonna take that on again, onboard 5 people, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? On top of that, to top it off, if you will, next Monday rolls around, and I get a call from my sister in Florida that her husband had passed away. Okay, so obviously completely blindsided. That was a moment that shook me, right? Yes, the devastation of that, and in addition, we've hired 5 new people. Like, what am I just gonna? I'm gonna leave them now. Obviously, I can't not go, right? It's the middle of COVID, height of the second wave, going to Florida, where we know is a hot spot, right? So all of these things together was like a moment that almost broke me, right? And I'm happy to say that what really helped was having good support and having good people around, and people understanding the mission and the vision and actually caring. And I think that's super important. So I guess the lesson here really is make sure that you're ready for anything, A, and B, make sure like the people that you have around you are solid people that are going to support you in a time of need, right? Like the people, imagine being 5 new hires and they like I don't even know what to do, and then like the person that's supposed to train them and in a small company is gone, right? So kudos to those people who really stepped up. I'd say like 4 out of the 5 of them are still with us. So that's huge. Okay, another moment that almost broke me. Yeah, okay. So this is an interesting one. Like in business, you'll run into situations where you're like, I never thought that I would run into this, And so this situation didn't break me. Like I'm kind of adding it because I think it's a bit different and a bit like unlike the other ones, which are like major things. Yeah, so I hired someone and qualified, nice person, like, good reputation, references are good, like everything checks out. Excited to have them on board. Signs the contract, okay? On Friday. Monday they start, I get a message. Riaz, can we chat? Have a quick chat. Okay, sure. Hey Riaz, just wanted to let you know, like, obviously, everyone's kind of different and everyone has their own beliefs and stuff like that. So I just wanted to let you know that I won't work on any campaigns that have, like, marketing campaigns. We're an agency. I won't work on any campaigns that are LGBT, that are any holidays, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's, like nothing celebratory. Okay. And that was really it. Like there were, but those in itself, just like, it's like what? Like again, maybe I'm naive, but I just couldn't fathom like that would be a thing in my business, right? And so I mean, to tell you the rest of that story, after I kind of like, here's a lesson, I guess. Like when you get information like that, you don't want to react right away. You're kind of like, okay, like, okay. And, yeah, so I get off the call and I'm just like, okay, I got to go for a walk. Like, this is like, I got to go for a walk. Go for a walk, call my business coach, talk to a few people. Like, I don't accept tolerance. I do accept tolerance. I don't accept intolerance. And so, like, that's not the point. The point is, like, there was no situation in which this person could continue working on the team. Like, that goes without saying. But I like think how to sequence that and how to say that, and then of course not get into any like employment law situation where I didn't respect their right to have an opinion. Like I don't know, it's just a bit like I don't know how, these are the situations that you don't know how to process in business, and you're like, I never think that I'm gonna make it or figure out or run into that kind of situation. So anyways, long story short, they didn't end up staying with the company, and I didn't let them. It was let's just say it was mutual. But it was like, no, I don't want any intolerant people in the company. Like, if you're in this company, you are gonna tolerate people from different backgrounds as long as they're not hurting anyone, right? Or as long as your form of as long as you're not discriminating. I'm not gonna tolerate discrimination in that way. So anyhow, your belief system. It's funny because 2 years ago I wouldn't even feel comfortable saying this publicly, even though it's obvious to me. I don't know, but I'm saying it now because I'm not going to tolerate people that are going to discriminate or not want to work on campaigns based on certain demographic profiles or what have you. But yeah, that was an interesting one. Okay, next one. Moments that tested me, that almost broke me. Client being inappropriate with team members. Everyone on my team knows that this just will not. I don't accept this. This will not fly with me. If they say it to me, I will do something about it. Right. So I do not. Our team is very diverse. There's gender parity in our team. We try and have different perspectives, diverse perspectives. If anyone ever faces any form of racism or sexism or any kind of phobias or anything like that, I just won't stand for that. So we had a client being inappropriate to the team, and I had to say something, and I had to ultimately fire the client, right? And you don't want to have that conversation. That's it's just you don't want to have that conversation, but you have to have that conversation, and this is the thing with situations that almost break you. They only break you if you do something about it. They only break you if you don't do anything about it. You have to do something about it. You have to put your flag in the ground and be like, I will not accept people being intolerant. I will not accept clients being inappropriate or discriminate against team members, right? I will get past someone leaving the company when we just hired 5 people and there was a death in the family, right? Speaking of death, okay, so other moments that almost broke me. So I would say my dad passing away was a tough one. I didn't think that it would be as hard as it has been. It's been 4 years now, and it's fine. I'm good now. But it's in the moment, it's oh, why am I doing what? It's not just the moment of I can't handle what's going on. That's fine. It's the after part where it's who am I now? It's a bit of an existential crisis. Why am I doing what I do? Am I really having an impact on businesses? Am I really helping other people, get to their goals and their vision through our campaigns and our engagements? And, it's more of an existential kind of crisis. Another death was, recently a former coworker passed away, and that was tragic and sudden. And, for a company my size, you would never expect someone who's we're only been around for 7 years. I'd say over the years, we probably had maybe 30 employees total all time, considering turnover and stuff. And, to think that one of the people that worked with us passed away, it's that kind of hit home. It was just oh, wow. So, anyhow, I guess the opportunity here or the lesson here is to just be resolute, right? And to realize that, you can't live without death. Life, you can't be happy without being sad sometimes, right? You can't be excited without being low sometimes, right? So, it's important to recognize kind of where you are on that scale, if you will. And in this case, it's these deaths in the family or in the company. It's taught me to be more resolute and to be stronger for my team and my family, and for myself. And to enjoy things we only get one shot at this thing. So those moments almost broke me, but I'm on the other side, and we'll be faced with challenging situations in the future, but being strong is you can't underestimate that. Okay. Another one, moments that almost broke me, being taken advantage of, right? So I've had like, and these are like a bunch of small ones, right? So like people work, like we're a remote company, so people working two jobs, like they're working with us and they're working another job, and it's like, okay, it's so obvious that they're working the other job. Like people don't think it's obvious, but it is, right? Like you can tell when someone's working and when they're not working, even though we're remote. You can tell when they're working or not working, or working on two, three jobs at the same time, and it's like, are you there? Are you not? Like, you're like, we're here. So things like that. People negotiating in bad faith, not paying invoices when you really need them, right? So cash flow, like, there was one point where like my bank account was like drained to like absolutely nothing and no one even knew it. And it's like, those are the things that you're like kind of lonely and quiet with. Now it hasn't been like that for years, right? This is early days. But it's like those are the moments that can kind of break you if you're not careful, right? And your mind starts wandering, right? What's another one? Almost getting sued. Almost getting sued. I had a former employee file kind of a grievance or what have you, and that's fine. It was settled, but like almost get it, like that situation. You never like expect to open your email on Monday morning and being like getting some like official thing, being like, oh, like I'm a real business, like like you're a real business when you're like getting sued, or like there's some kind of like lawyer saying like, oh, and by the way, like this person like wants to like file a grievance. It's like, oh shit, okay. I've had people that have like, they've left and then like they quit and then they tell the government that we fired them and then like claimed unemployment, and it's like, oh, like you want to feel good about that, okay? And of course the government makes it impossible to like fight your side of it. But anyhow, now I feel like I'm like sounding like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. Like I love business and I love being in business. I just want to prepare you, if you're a budding entrepreneur, for the things that you could face. All right. Keeping people in the business for longer than they should have been, right? That people that may be toxic, and you kind of in that moment you're like, okay, well, like that person themselves might not be performing, but that's just isolated to them. It's not like if you're a good, like if I'm a good performer and I'm working with someone that's not performing and the leadership team is not like doing something about that, it makes me resent the leadership team and that person more, right? And I've been that person. I've been the person at the company that was a high performer, surrounded by people that weren't performing, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why? Do I really want to work in a company where like all these people are performing, like myself, and management is kind of tolerating people who aren't performing, right? Other moments that almost broke me: Facebook getting hacked. We had our like Facebook ads manager got like hacked like this is many years ago, and it was just like we got locked out and then we got locked in, and then like they were spending money on like different ad accounts for our clients. So like 5 of our clients had like spends on it, and they were coming from like our ad account. And it's like over the holidays, and I had to like call Facebook and close down like accounts and call clients and just make sure that everything was okay. But again, something you never anticipate that happens. Okay, that's my next meeting, so I'm gonna move things along here. I think one other, yeah. So another one, yeah, getting a bad review. So we have a bad review on there, and it wasn't even on Google. Like it was never even someone who was a client, and like they didn't approach us in a very sincere way. It was another marketing agency, and they were just looking for a reason to throw us under the bus. Anyways, that's fine. But I think like one was taking a breath, processing the issue, speaking to different people about like, hey, what do you think about this review? Not just replying emotionally, but do reply in a sincere way, because at the end of the day, it's not about replying to that person. It's about like other people and what they're gonna perceive about how you responded to certain things, right? So yeah, I think it's important to note here that you can't lose faith in humanity. Most people are inherently good. That is one thing that I've definitely learned over 7 years. Most people want you to win. If you're watching this, hopefully you're like, yeah, I want Riaz to win, and I want you to win, right? You're cheering other people on. You're cheering your clients on, your partners on, your employees on. Like, you want other people to win, right? You won't win if you don't want other people to win, and other people won't want you to win if you don't want them to win, right? Like, it's an abundance mindset. It's a win-win all around, right? So don't let the things that I've told you, which you will run into if you're running a business that's growing and scaling, you will run into things that you didn't expect, right? Like intolerance and like potential lawsuits and things like that, reviews. But most people are inherently good, okay? Also, these situations are great at building character, right? And you're left on the other side of it. It's like education. No one can take education away from you. Once you have it, no one can take it away from you, right? It's like this. It's like the same with this. On the other side of these situations, you've built character, you've learned from that. And I know that, like, you know, if something happened tomorrow to the business, I know that I could go out there and get some clients and start things up and make things happen, right? And I know also that if I hadn't gone through these situations that I just shared with you, amongst a whole myriad of other ones that are unnamed, you wouldn't become the person you are that is capable of doing the things that we've done, right? To get the awards and what have you. Okay. Other thoughts here. You are humbled. You are humbled. The moment your head gets big, it's humbled, right? Like, I always have the pin around here, right? You want to pop your ego, because that's super important. If you don't stay humble, you're gonna get figured out, right? And yourself and your team, like, if people get a big head or entitled, you got to figure it out, and you got to make sure that everyone stays grounded, that you stay grounded. Okay. Iceberg element is something to consider, right? So, in my position in the company, I don't see everything. I see maybe like 10% of the iceberg. You might have seen the memes online, or on LinkedIn or whatever. Right at the top, you only see like 5% of the iceberg, and the rest is like underneath the water, right? So realize that there are things happening in the company that you can't really control, but you can control, like, communication and, like, digging in and understanding. But there's always going to be this iceberg element, and the way to get through that is to ask, like, how can I help? How can I help you, right? Okay, so if you stayed this long, thank you so much. A little bit of a ramble there, vented a little bit. I don't usually, it's not really my style. I like to just kind of, like, bring more just, like, info nuggets, but I thought, hey, let me share some stories and some associated lessons, so you can see behind the veil. Like, these are some of the things that happen that you might not know. You might say, hey, Riaz, hey, congrats, things are going perfectly for you. But it is like this. You see those pictures online. Okay, so how do you properly handle these situations? Okay, how do you properly handle these situations? Well, first is to realize that situations will emerge. These types of things, these are just a snapshot of things that you'll face. You might face all sorts of things, right? Let yourself feel the feels for a micro moment. If something happens that upsets you, be upset. Like, I went for a walk, that one story, like, talk to other people. Like, it's okay to be upset. Like, there's, these days, there's, everyone's like, be neutral and don't, like, be extreme. Like, yes, be stoic, be reserved, like, make sure you're toughing your skin a little bit, but, like, to yourself, it's okay to feel the feels. If you need to have a little cry, go have a little cry, right? If you need to punch a wall, buy a punching bag, right? Like, it's okay to be upset or angry or frustrated to yourself. And then once you've gathered yourself, collected your thought, process the issues, next stage here is, after you feel the feels, is take a deep breath. That felt good. And then sleep on it. Sleep on it. Do not answer in haste. I used to do this all the time. It's like, someone would message me on something on Slack, and I'd be like, or like, I get an email and be like, and I'd pick up the phone and it's like, yeah, I got your email. It's like, don't do that, right? Take a deep breath. Go to sleep. Wake up the next day. Be like, oh yeah, what was that thing that happened yesterday? Oh yeah, okay. Then the next step is to compartmentalize. Now that you felt the feels, and now that you've thought about it from a logical perspective while sleeping on it, compartmentalize the emotional from the logical. But again, make sure to acknowledge both. All right? Wake up, process the issue. Process the issue. I have another video about issue processing. It's around, like, solving business problems. I'll link to this below. Check that out, because that's all about, it's a whole thing about how to solve business issues and processing issues. But you have to process the issue. If you don't, you're just going to reply emotionally. So process the issue, okay? Talk to people, process the issue. Identify the best outcome, right? All of these situations I just told you, we've come out of it on the, like, I didn't get sued, we settled, right? Like, I didn't, the client, didn't leave a 1-star review even though we fired them for being inappropriate to our team, right? Like, in all of these situations that I just told you about, it ended up like probably the best that it could have because we processed the issue. We identified the best outcome. Also, are you overthinking it? Are you underthinking it? Right? Are you giving it the energy it needs? Or aren't you? Like, I'm sure there's things in my business right now where there's people on the team are like, does Riaz even know about this thing? How come he's not like worried about this? Right? Or there might be other parts of the business where like I'm overthinking it and some people are like, oh, like, why is he worried about that? Right? So think about, are you overthinking it or underthinking it? Next one, think of options C, D, and E. And why I say that is because the default is A and B. Think of other ways. Like, I think this is what really separates really good business owners. It's like, it's not binary. It's like there's like C, D, and E options. There's endless amounts of options out there of ways that you can traverse this chasm, So think about those things. Seek counsel, right? Like I talked to an employment lawyer when in those situations, or I talked to my business coach, or I researched, right? Google, ChatGPT, whatever. Like talk to peers, talk to other people that have, figured out or been in that situation. Once you figure out a plan, communicate the plan, right? And if it requires you to act quickly. Don't wait, right? Figure out the sequencing, right? What happens first, and then what happens next, and then what happens next, and then what happens. Like, be very clear. And if that happens, then this happens. And if this happens, then these two things happen. And if that happens, if they say yes, then I do this. And if they say no, do that, right? So of course, are things gonna like evolve as you go along? Sure. But in those, like, figure out the plan and figure out the sequencing. Focus on the rest of your business while the dust settles. Don't sit there brooding about things. Don't brood, right? That's very tempting. I do it too. You brood. You're like, oh, this happened, and then you're like, why did that happen, right? Like, let the dust settle. The dust needs to settle whether you're brooding or not. Actually, the more you brood about it, the more the dust will reflutter. Let it settle. Focus on the rest of your business, right? The business needs you. Take care of it. You need to take care of the business, right? It's your baby. Finally, do a post-mortem. Like, how can you avoid this situation in the future? Maybe if I manage expectations up front about, we're a very tolerant organization, right? Or, some of these situations, like being more communicative up front, managing expectations up front, like these types of things, right? So make sure you do a post-mortem. Okay, so those are the steps. I know this is a lot to take in. I'm curious to know, like, private message me if you have any kind of like crazy situations. I'm not a lawyer, but I can maybe help you with whatever situations that you may be facing, even if it's just helping you process it, right? You will face moments in your business that may break you or come close to breaking you, but you're stronger. You're stronger than that. So if you've enjoyed these videos, check out one of these other ones here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and a subscribe if you want your regular dose of Riaz and some business tips to scale your business to 7 figures and beyond. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.